Live from Studio B, this is your day-to-day BYU Sports play-by-play. I'm Spencer Linton alongside Jarom Jordan, and joining us now in Studio B for some NFL draft karma is Corbin Kaufusi.
What's up, Corbin?
Longtime friend of the program. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. It's been a minute.
Hey, you look great. This is the post-BYU beard. The hair's flowing. I mean, this is a good look for you. I like this.
It's coming along, you know?
Yeah?
I didn't think I'd be that group of guy that, does the thing, but then it's too tempting.
It just happens, right? 4 years of no shave. You're having to shave.
Oh, yeah. This is like a day. No.
It's like a lumberjack over here.
It's 1 day's growth.
Where did this come from?
I shaved this morning. This is crazy. Yeah.
So we've been talking about Avengers all week, and we just discussed greatest endgame moments. One, are you a Marvel guy? Do you get into these movies?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you're excited about the Avengers Endgame coming up.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, in your mind as a BYU fan, what's the greatest Endgame moment that you've experienced or witnessed as a fan or player?
Okay, mine is a no-brainer because I was at the game. I was a little kid, and it's one of those things where, you always see those memes of, like, little kids that are crying at games. This was basically me at the BYU-Utah game when it was back to Harleen. And before, I remember it was just crushing, and I was like, we can't lose this game. Like, this is back when I cried over losing a lot more as a kid. And then when that play happened, it was just the greatest thing in my life.
Yeah.
And we were sitting next to Utah fans. Like, we were right there on the front row across the way from Utah fans. So it was just best thing ever.
How old were you?
Shoot, I can't even remember how old I was.
That's 06.
It was 06, so
do the math of your birthday to.
I was
9?
13.
13.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, you're old.
And
no,
yeah,
I'm kidding.
And
pretty old. Seasoned.
Was your dad the D-line?
Yeah.
D-line coach?
So
Okay. So you were
and
fully
we had
invested.
switched over from Utah to BYU, so it always brought a little bit more.
Man.
Especially as a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
And here's the fun part about this. There have been some great moments. I mean, recently, too. We were talking about 2015.
Yeah.
And were you a freshman on that team?
2015.
18,
Mitchell
17, 16,
Juergens.
15?
Oh, I was
Boise
I was a
State and
basketball
Nebraska.
player.
Oh, you weren't even a
I was
football
a basketball player, yeah.
So you
I was
watched
just
from
a
the
fan.
stands.
I was a fan.
Yeah. Those were some crazy moments,
Oh,
man.
yeah.
Like Danny Ainge, those were like 30-plus years ago.
In fact,
right?
the
yeah.
basketball team might have been introduced during that BYU Boise State game. I'm
Oh,
trying
yeah,
to
I think we
remember.
were.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
you were
remember
on
that.
the field being introduced.
Yeah, that was wild.
Oh, so Spencer was saying that's the loudest he's heard the stadium in a long time. Yeah, I wish during your 3 other seasons it would have been louder, right?
I would think it was pretty
quite
loud
the
that
moment.
game.
It was
Yeah.
insane.
I'm trying to think of another moment, like, just because the way that game built up and everything, and coming after the Nebraska win,
yeah.
like everyone and their dog was at that game, and so I would say it was pretty loud.
There were 80,000
Incredible.
people there.
Former BYU basketball player Corbin Kaufusi with us on BYU Sports Nation. He happens to play football too. And the NFL draft is happening in just a few days. What's your mentality and what are your emotions like as this time approaches for you?
I think for me, it's just I'm excited to figure out what's the next step. You kind of prep for this and just waited, and now it's like, okay, I'm sick of just sitting at home training on my own. Like, I'm ready to go somewhere, have a little direction. So,
You could literally be moving next week to any city where there's a team, right? So it's kind of like a nervous situation, right?
more than nervous, it's exciting. Like,
Okay.
it's kind of funny when I talk to people about it, or people that don't know I play football. They're like, "Oh, you're just working right now," and I'm like, "Kind of." Like, they're like, I'm like, "Oh, I'm moving soon," and they're like, "Where are you moving to?" And it's, I don't know, somewhere.
Could be
You know?
Miami,
It could be
Seattle,
anywhere.
LA, New York, who knows?
Yeah.
Middle of the country?
Yeah.
So you played through some injuries at the end of the season. You had surgery. We didn't see it on Pro Day. So what post Pro Day to now, kind of what's been the situation with your health and your conversation with teams?
I think it's just, Pro Day, I was planning on doing everything, and then last minute, my agent and trainer were like, "Hey, let's just pull back, no reason to, 1, either re-injure, and 2, if you get a bad time, you don't want to be known for that time." And I was like, it was hard to swallow, but it was like, okay. But now I've just been training since then, and everything's back to full go. Been doing workouts with teams and stuff like that.
How many teams have you chatted with, and what's that been like?
It's been interesting, especially in the past few days, as the draft gets closer, like, there's more calls. And so I think yesterday there was probably 7 teams that called.
Wow.
Yeah, and like 2 days ago it was the same thing. And so I've probably talked to at least half, if not more than half of the teams out there.
Very nice.
What are your numbers like that you can report to them or that they have on film, on tape, and these workouts and whatnot?
I think the biggest thing the first question is, are you healthy and are you 100%? I'm like, yes. And then if they want, like I did some workouts and filmed it. And so my agent sends them film or I get them the contact for that. And they always ask, what's your weight, you know? But other than that, yeah, they don't ask how high are you jumping right now. They're basically just, are you healthy? And how much do you weigh? 'Cause
And what's the answer?
we're healthy, and I'm around 278 right now,
Okay.
280.
And what height do you give? Because on the basketball team, you're one thing, and on the football team, you were another.
Oh, yeah. Well, and the crazy thing was at Pro Day when they measured me, like my agent's like, be as short as you can be. And I was like, I don't know how you do that. Like,
You're like, okay.
like for
Slouch
years, my
a little
mom
bit.
got mad at me for slouching. But I think it was funny because I measured the day before on one of the official things, and I was like 6'9.5". And then when they came, I was like 6'8 3/4". And I was like so happy. I was like, I want to call my agent and be like, I'm short.
Yeah, I'm shorter.
I did it. I don't know how I did it,
Yeah.
but I did it.
It's been done.
Exactly. So we were, and we talked about how inspired we were that you chose to play the Utah game, right? And you didn't have to. And you almost got it, right? And it was like,
Yeah.
oh, man. And Corbin, like, you put it all out there. We really appreciated it. Do you feel like that's affected you at all in this process of that one extra week, or are you good in terms of your health?
I don't think it affected me really at all. In fact, it was funny because after surgery and then a little bit of recovery, I went back to
Multiple
see.
surgeries, right?
Yeah. After
3?
Yeah. And so after the surgeries, I went and met with my ankle surgeon, who's amazing. He's the man. And he was like, you know, like we knew that you'd recover fast after the Utah game. And I was like, oh, why? And he's like, well, showing the way that you were able to move with it during the game, like that shows your recovery and how like well your muscles will take to getting back into it. And so I think if anything, like definitely didn't hurt me at all to play in the Utah game. It just gave me more to see on how I'd recover.
BYU football defensive lineman and now NFL draft hopeful Corbin Kaufusi with us on BYU Sports Nation. What's the ideal situation? Obviously, you want to get drafted, but if you don't get drafted, what then becomes the ideal situation for you?
I think it's even more of a madhouse, you know, because if you get drafted, it's like, okay, I'm going here, that's it. But if not, it's kind of nice because you get to choose. And so even now, like right now, my homework is to look at depth charts to see who's where, because you know teams will offer you money and whatnot, but it's all about making the team. You know, even if you're drafted late, there's no guarantee that you'll make the team. So my agent's like, I want you to look at these 5 teams right now that have shown tons of interest, and look at their depth charts, see where you might fit. And that's kind of the thing, because then, you know, it's a madhouse. The free agency is a madhouse because it's not, oh, where do I go? It's where do I want to go? Where do I fit best?
Would you rather be picked in the 7th round or be a free agent?
That is a hard question because, like, yeah, it would be nice to be drafted, but at the same time, you want to go where you're going to succeed. And you just hear way too many stories of guys that are great players, but they go to a system they don't fit in, and then they just, you know, they get out of the league.
We've seen it recently with the likes of Kyle Van Noy.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
you got to find the right fit.
Yeah, it's all about the right fit.
Yeah. The NFL draft is the uninspired mission call. Okay, because if you could pick, you would go a certain place, right? And you guys both went to South Korea. I went to Brazil. You end up going, oh, that was great. That was great. I enjoyed it. But you know, maybe not everyone feels the same. With free agency, yeah, you could choose.
Yeah.
So did you grow up with a certain team that you liked? I know your dad played for the Eagles, right?
Not really. Like I was never the sports kid in the family. You know, I was the weird kid where mom's like, let's send Corbin to art camp or something like that. Like, let's not put him in AAU. Let's send him to the rec center.
Even though you're the tallest guy, of the.
Well, the artistic is now coming out in your hair, and
No, we see that. That has
When
great
this goes
value as
out,
well.
I look a lot like Bob Ross. You know.
You're the Polynesian Bob Ross.
Yeah. I'll film a few episodes or not.
I think it looks great.
You could be in a New Testament video with the church or something if you want.
I'm going
right?
for that. I'm
Yeah.
like, I would love to be in a church film.
Let's go.
You kind of have the Prince of Egypt look. Has anyone told you that?
Oh, I get side-by-side comparisons all the time.
Okay,
People are like,
yeah. Right
Football
now, you
team,
look
yeah.
like Moses in Prince of Egypt, the cartoon kid.
Yeah.
Who's your doppelganger?
Probably Moses. Like literally, I have teammates from BYU. Like I'll walk in and they're like, "Hey Moses," and I'm like,
You want like a staff, like
Yeah,
carry around,
I feel
like
like I
part the
should,
sea and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah. curses on everybody. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's so good. Corbin, great to have you with us. Let's finish with this. Your former teammate, Sione Takitaki, has his draft stock rising. What have your conversations been like with him as he prepares for the draft and you both move forward?
Oh, I love that dude. Like, we've been working out, you know, when he's not traveling to teams and whatnot, or we're not doing workouts, like we'll work out here together. And he's the man. It's almost like having a brother. And so it's someone you've just struggled with, you've gone through everything with, and watching him get to this point and seeing his draft stock just rise because he's an incredible athlete. Like, you just get so excited for someone like that. And so I love that guy.
He would be the shortest Kaufusi brother.
He would be.
But he could hang in the weight room with you guys.
Oh, yeah, he hangs.
Oh, my gosh.
For
yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
the latest edition of Keeping Up with the Kaufusi is available on Instagram.
Yeah. We're really hoping to make it into that. So if we could make it into that, that'd be great. So
It's been a minute, but, you know, we'll see what we can do. Let me talk to the producers. No.
well, good luck with everything.
Hey, thank
Hopefully
you.
we see you drafted. If not, free agency, and good luck next week.
Just take some
Everything,
draft karma so you end up where you need to end up.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I'll take
Okay.
it.
Thanks,
Okay.
Corbin.
Hey, thank you.
Coming up, in the spirit of Damian Lillard, the BYU top 5 last-second shots in BYU hoops history.
Okay, clearly Danny Ainge is in, but who else cracks the top 5? This is BYU Sports Nation.